Man, it's been a while since I've been here by myself. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. So as you come in, feel free, put questions in the chat. Obviously, it's a very exciting time, and all today, I've been fielding questions all today. There are articles coming out like every 5 seconds. And if you watch enough videos, you want the funny thing about watching multiple videos is you always see different information throughout each one. It still leaves a little bit of ambiguity and unclarity. So I'm gonna try to tackle a lot of the big things in this live broadcast today, as well as try to approach this student loan forgiveness from three different points of view. Number one, obviously the point of view of who's really impacted. Number two, how do you really qualify the things that aren't really black and white? And then number three, what's really going to be the impact from making this movement? And transparently, you'll see multiple different people go from, oh, I don't agree with it. Same people, I don't agree with the stimulus check. Did you return the stimulus check? No. Obviously, there's many people who paid off their debt. You've done a wonderful job. Everything that happens in the economy and everything that happens from a legislation standpoint, everyone just can't take a part of. When the tax cuts that Trump signed into action, his new tax plan about 3-4 years ago happened, there were a lot of cuts for wealthy people as far as interest deductions, things that everyday average people were able to use that impacted their tax refund. From a financial sense, it made better sense, but it's just the fact that when any of these changes occur, people undoubtedly, not a small amount of people, large pockets of people are going to be left out. And so we always have to keep that in perspective and do what you can to arm yourself, educate yourself, and make good financial decisions with as much information as you can. If you guys have ever been on a coaching call with me, that's how I approach these situations. When I'm giving you direction of how I would make a decision, a great majority of my decision making of how I'm going to move is based off what opportunity is in front of me. What are things that are going on that are happening in legislation, or if I decide to invest, well, I'm going to invest more in the stock market. Why? Because the stock market is down. The stock market is not always going to be down in this fashion. So it's going to benefit me more to invest here. When it's a real estate opportunity, it's a great opportunity to buy real estate. I may not have that same scenario at a different time. So you go that way. If you're going to pay off debt, there are many different factors that you have to consider with your personal lifestyle to try to get ahead. But you guys didn't come here to hear me ramble on for 4 minutes. So straight to it, 10,000. I think that's pretty much self-explanatory, but $10,000 is coming to relief if you make $125,000 or less. $10,000 will be canceled from your student loan bill. The next thing you need to understand is when we're talking about student loans, we're talking about federally backed student loans, specifically undergraduate, if you will. The second piece of the cancellation is if you qualified and took part in the Pell Grant that was issued, you get another $10,000 forgiven. That's $20,000. So it doesn't mean you have to receive in a certain amount. It's just the fact that you qualified and was able to get the Pell Grant. However much you received in Pell Grant, that doesn't matter with you getting these student loans forgiven. The income requirements. Now, $125,000 single, $250,000 if you're married, filing jointly, or if you're head of household. So head of household means if you have your own address and you have at least one qualifying dependent. Could be your child, you could just been claiming. But if you're in that segment, because that wasn't mentioned as much, but the head of household piece, that means your income qualification would be $250,000. This is why you really need to speak with your accountant and make sure you're getting qualified and you're reviewing all your tax situation. Well, what if you're married filing separate? Married filing separate in every sense, whether you're going to file for student loans or anything else, it's always looked at as the same tax rate as single. So married filing separate is single. That's the same thing. So that means you have $125,000. If you're head of household, on your tax form, you can go look at it. It's right at the top. That means you qualify if you made less than $250,000. Cool. The next thing you want to think about is the student loan pause extended to January. Not December, but it's actually January. When will this student loan pause take effect? And I'm just rolling through questions that I got. Well, the next step is for the Department of Education to actually lay out detailed criteria in a simple submission form. But keep in mind, they do actually already have access to your income, kind of like when the stimulus payments went out, they pulled the last tax return. If you file, Department of Education has that information. They can do that as well. And so they can naturally just file cancel out your student that way. But at the latest, in Biden's speech, he said over the next coming weeks, but at the latest, looking at their website and all the information that's as of today, they would take, or should be out by the end of December 2022. Next question. This is not a taxable event, meaning typically when loans are forgiven or canceled, you have to pay taxes that's looked as earned income for that coming year for you, and you have to pay tax on that income. This, much like the stimulus check, is not a taxable event. Next question. Besides the student loan payment, what's the big deal with the next piece is the actual, how are they revamping the program? Now, with this program, there's still a new program that they're looking at bringing out for student loan forgiveness, income-based forgiveness, and it changes the program to not just 10 years, but half, 5% of your discretionary income. Now, again, if any one of you spoke in to me, one of the things I tell you about the student loan is, hey, get on the income-based payment program. Income-based payment plan, because it takes in everyone that you take care of financially. It takes into account kind of your bills and taxes, tax situation, how you file, all that type of stuff. And then it calculates based off what is likely 10% of your discretionary income. Now that payment will be 5% of your discretionary income. And after 20 payments going forward, for people going forward consecutively, that would be forgiven. The next thing is, in that plan, currently now, if you lost a job, lost employment, those type of things, you would go to a zero payment, but you're still accruing interest. Well, if you are in some sort of the payment, forbearance, something of that nature, it freezes the interest so that your balance isn't continually growing. Again, these things are helpful because one of the things that really came out when people started sharing their student loan payment stories was, hey, I never made a payment on this thing. my student loan balance was 19,000, 10,000, whatever. Now it's ballooned up to 50,000. How is that possible? So that's one of the stoppages for. Realize throughout these measures that a lot of work is done and it's going to help a lot of people. But everything is not fixed. Everything has not been cleaned up with this. It is a help. So if you've been thinking about, when I think about, well, first let me tackle it this way. 43 million borrowers, 20 million of the 43 with this move will have their debt completely forgiven. Is that a big deal? Average person owes about $35,000 to $50,000 worth of student loan debt. But is that a big deal? Well, let me put it like this. A lot of people can't qualify for loans for homes, cars, or try to move themselves financially forward because their student loans are in not deferment, but default, or they've never made a payment. By not having this debt and having that clear, it gives way and gives opportunity, especially people who didn't even graduate from school, and yet they still have this debt that they truly don't understand. Now they can actually start to try to move forward with their life. The second group of people in this 20 million, most of these people make under $75,000 a year, and they have been making payments, but their payments have been tight because they have to, pay for rent. Rent is close to $2,000 now, probably $1,500 on average. But if they have a car payment, not yes, fiscally responsible, don't have a car payment, but let's be honest. If you need something dependable, and this is sometimes the best option for you to be able to move forward your life, you do make that decision. Sometimes you are back into a wall and you try to make the least impactful financial burdening decision possible. But that still means you may end up with debt. And as somebody who has went through debt and worked to grow their income and understands all the different challenges that comes with that. That's why I'm never quick to say, go get a car cash, because what your responsibilities in your life may not be suitable for you to be dealing with car repairs consistently. It may have been cheaper for you to just buy a car that you're paying a note for. The point is, this will allow many people, especially people of color in the Latino community, African American community, to be able to move forward financially. The work now is you have to utilize this opportunity and realize, okay, how can I not go rack up a lot of debt? How can I really be smarter with my decision? Next thing is, who are those people making 60, under 75,000, 65% of them are typically in default. So this cleans up that mess. Does it help everybody? Like I said, you already paid off your debt, or maybe you never had student loan debt to begin with, probably not helping you. And I get it. There are a lot of things that don't help you. Everybody didn't get a stimulus payment. Everybody doesn't get to take advantage of every tax benefit that comes around. But when you think about right now, with people struggling, these payments looming, and things having to get back on track in the economy, and even while we're in recession, but people are being squeezed from school bills and gas and groceries and inflation and all these different things, prices rising. This not having this debt and this being one more thing that prevents them from moving forward. And I'm talking about just to have a decent life. I saw several stories today where people were sharing, hey, we couldn't get a quality apartment because I owe $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 in student debt. Now they will be able to qualify for that good apartment to get them forward, better living conditions. Doesn't mean everybody's going to be able to go to buy a house, but they can have that person can have a little bit better quality lifestyle. from our resources that we have in the country. So those are kind of the top things that I wanted to cover. Any questions? Like I said, as things come out, I know there's a form that'll be accessible. I'll post that, and any other pertinent information, I'll follow along so that you can really kind of have a consolidated space to find the information that you need. And then even throughout this piece leading up to, just like the stimulus checks, just like any other thing that I think is pertinent for you to know that affects all of you or would affect you or somebody you know, I'll make sure the information is there so you don't have to really go search for it. Guys, it's an incredible time. Who's actually paying for this? I know that's one thing that came about. Just like the stimulus checks, inflation wasn't necessarily a stimulus check, in my opinion. Inflation was a lot of the Fed pumping a lot of money into the economy to prop up during the pandemic. But again, you have to trust that the Fed made the best decision. May not have been the complete best, but they made the best decision. And maybe the best decision was the best of the worst decisions that they could have made. And so for me, I look at it like if it benefits you as much as you can, these other things that come in some form of way through taxes, through other programs, this stuff does get paid for, and maybe it won't. I'm not in government, but what I am looking at is all the people that this kind of helps that can move them a little bit further. And that's what we're about as a nation, not political a lot, but no one should really suffer in the opportunity that we have here. So let me know any questions. Let me know down in the comment what your thoughts. If you have any questions, if there's something you're looking for you can't find, and I'll keep you abreast. Can't wait to see you guys in the next video.